Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of January 15th through January 21st, 2024, and I'm working with the Savor Story kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so today I'm putting together this spread using the Savor Story kit. And so I planned this one out in the Story Kit classroom. So this is how my plan is here. And I have an insert planned because I had just so much that went on this week. And it wasn't anything like super crazy. I did get some new furniture, but it was just, I had a lot of pictures and a lot of little stories, and my life right now, I don't have a ton going on. So when I have a lot that I want to include, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I took one of the page protectors that had the 9 3x4s, and I'm just cropping it down to have the 6. And that's going to be my insert here. And you can see on my sketch, I have the insert. So this is the front and the back. And whenever I'm going to do an insert, whenever I'm going to do an insert, I am going to make it smaller than my week so that it's sandwiched inside. So because my album is a 9x12, I'm never going to put a 9x12 full page protector in here because that would be like the end of the week, unless I was going to do that for my Project Life spread, which maybe I will at some point. But as far as an insert is concerned, it's always going to be smaller so that it's like sandwiched in between. So this one is going to be a 6x12. I could also do like an 8.5x11 or a 6x8. There's a lot of different options for inserts. But for this one, I wanted to stick with the pocket pages. And here I had listed out how many photos I wanted to print. So I wanted 15 3x4s and 2 or 3 4x6s. So that's what I ended up printing. I cropped those all out at the beginning, and now I'm going to go ahead and lay my supplies out just to get an initial thought of what I'm doing here. So these are the supplies I designated for this spread when I initially did my story planning for the Savor Story kit. If you are curious more about that, I have a whole lesson on that in the Story Kit classroom. And so let's see, I have this card with anytime that there's a card that looks like this with numbered little stories, that's going to go in my Project Life. And then let's see, I have currently savoring, which I wanted to be on one side of this, moments to savor on the other side. I had this love this. I wanted to make that like an insert. This is my title card, savoring this season here, and then enjoy completely. I'm going to make that into my own 3x4 card, and then savoring goes up here. So I just have an initial layout here. I'm going to start laying out my photos to get an idea of what's going where. So let's see. I know I wanted this story here is going to be about going out with my daughter. So one of the main stories this week was I got new living room furniture. And so that's going to be my main story over here. So I have the savoring for my new couch. This was in process of moving stuff. We had some snow. Maybe I'll put that there. This is Pumpkin enjoying the new couch. Okay, this is going out with Summer to get my hair done. Reading. Lots of cuddles. Coffee. Here's my new bookshelf. Walking in the snow. Just laying everything out to see kind of how many photos do I have? Let's see here. Okay, so I have too many because that is supposed to be transparent. So let's see here. Okay, so this is my initial layout where I have my title card. This journaling card is going to be little stories from the week. And then I have some photos on here. I initially am seeing a lot of photos, so I want to maybe break this up a little bit with some embellishments. This one is going to be about things I'm savoring right now, so I'm actually going to switch this one and put this one over here because I was definitely not savoring shoveling snow. That actually is that direction. So these are just going to be like things I'm savoring right now, and I'm just gonna make like a little list. This was about hanging out with Summer. So if you don't know, my daughter has moved out and goes to college locally, but she does live in the dorm, so I don't see her that often, but I did see her on this Saturday. We went and got our hair done and got lunch, and then I did a little shopping by myself. So this is just like that day, but I'm just gonna talk about spending time with her. And then this is about the new furniture. So I have some pictures of that. And then this was from the living room. I moved my old bookshelf into my craft room, and I'm rearranging in there too. So I have like a bunch going on here with that. This is just, okay, I think, and then this here is going to be a transparent piece that you can see on both sides here. So I probably will put it on the front going that way, and then when you flip, you'll see the back. And then let's see, I have some chipboard pieces from the kit that I'm going to put on a few of these. So simply savoring. Let's see, maybe the sunrise. Don't forget to savor. Definitely not savoring snow. So I'm gonna put that maybe there, and then savoring this story. I'm thinking maybe here for the new books that I picked up. Though I don't love covering the author's name, but that's okay because I will have that book documented elsewhere. Okay, so that's my initial plan. Now I need to go into my stash because I definitely want more on the spread than just this. And when I do the story kits, I could very much like find things in that kit and really fill the spread and not use any other products. But generally, I like to get more stories out of my story kits, so I tend to not use just that kit in my project life so that I have an opportunity to use things from my stash. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig in my stash now and see what I want to include on the spread to bring it a little more embellishment.
Okay, so sometimes I start my spreads after I have my basic layout like you see here with my journaling, and other times I start with my embellishing. And in this one, I decided to start with embellishing, partially because I was super excited to dig into my stash and pull out some pieces. So I pulled out a selection of chipboard from my chipboard organization. And so you'll see here as I pull various categories out from my organization system and put it on my desk to look through. I think I went through the home category, the family category, the winter one, maybe a few others. And if you're curious about how I have my chipboard organized, I have a whole video about that, and I will link that up at the eye for you right now. So I selected the various chipboard pieces because I wanted chipboard to be kind of my main piece of organization or of decoration on this spread. I have that savoring word up on the couch there that's from the Savor kit, and I selected one of the circle embellishments to go inside the O just to bring a little something else to it. And I later decided to put one inside the O of love this for a little bit of repetition. But now I'm just kind of picking out various shapes. I have some circle chipboard pieces on a few of my photos, so I'm looking for more circles to kind of repeat that shape across the spread. I like to use chipboard in a lot of ways on my spread. Sometimes I have like a standalone one, like the one over there on the left-hand side where I'm walking in the snow. I have a chipboard piece that's not really repeated anywhere else on the spread, and that's totally fine for me. But in other places, I like the repetition across the spread, so I have a bunch of circles in various places. And then I have some rectangular lines, which are word strips that are chipboard. And there were 3 that were from the Savor kit that I kept for this spread specifically. So I had those in the beginning of the video. You saw that I had those 3 from the Savor collection, and I decided to use those as a jumping off point for repeated word strips. And so I found various chipboard ones and also some word phrase stickers, which you will see soon. But first I'm working on the circles. So what I decided to do was I pulled out these label stickers from my stash that are also circles, and I layered them with the circle chipboard to create a layered embellishment cluster. In addition to the circle label and the circle chipboard, I wanted to add something else onto those. So I pulled over these puffy shapes from my stash and added a puffy star onto each one. And you can see I'm doing the same treatment on 3 different cards. So there's a little bit of repeated design across this spread. And then I added a word phrase strip from this black word phrase strip sheet that is in my stash. Then I'm also using these same black word phrase strips to layer with those chipboard pieces that are horizontal words. And you can see I did that on a few different cards as well. I think I ultimately do 5 cards with that same treatment. And that just gives it a little bit of repetition across the spread as well. Because there's a lot going on in the spread with an insert, I like that I have a few different treatments of embellishments, but I also like that I do have those repeated elements. Repeating the same style on multiple cards helps the spread be cohesive. And it also streamlines the process of putting it together so that you don't take too long on a spread. While I do enjoy the process of putting this together, I don't want to be stuck in paralysis of trying to decide which embellishment would be exactly perfect. And if I have some sort of parameters, like I'm looking for long, narrow word strips in my chipboard stash or on this one sheet of stickers, that is going to help me speed the process along and actually get the spread put together. So if that is something that you struggle with trying to choose your supplies, narrow it down and create a formula for yourself that you can use over and over on multiple cards. I added my dates there onto my title card, and now I'm going to start my journaling. This card here says currently savoring, and I decided to use this to tell the story of my Saturday morning, where I went and met up with my daughter for our hair appointment. I have a photo of us with our after photo and a photo of myself with my hair done. And then we went to get lunch. And then after lunch, I stopped at a few shops by myself. I picked up some books and I just browsed another shop and considered getting the sweatshirt, but I ended up passing on it. So I just journaled about that. It was also a super, super cold day. So I wanted to make note of that as well. After this one, I do move on to the other side of the this insert because I have this love this, which I want to be a transparent piece that is going to show on both sides. So I cut down a piece of transparency and it's just a scrap of one of the a divided page protector. And I cropped it down so that it would be a little bit smaller than 3x4 so it will fit in the pocket. And I adhered the love this on it just with my rolling adhesive. And now I'm looking in my stash of chipboard again because this is when I realize I want another circle piece to go inside that O to match the savoring one that I did on the right-hand side. I pulled out all of my blue chipboard pieces and tried to select one from those, and then I end up pulling out all of my yellow ones, just thinking of the colors that are pretty dominant in my spread. In my chipboard organization, I have a lot of them organized by theme, but if the chipboard is just general in nature and could kind of work on any spread, I have it organized by color, which is very useful for when I want to just coordinate with whatever's going on in my spread. So you see, I picked one that I put on the other side, and then I almost did a yellow one there, but then I decided it was a little too thick having the chipboards back to back, so I went with a puffy circle from my stash as well. And I cropped off a little bit of the L because it just was popping out the top once I had adhered everything down. I'm just sliding everything in the pockets now. I don't always do this in the middle of the process. Sometimes I wait until the end. But when I have an insert, it's easier to slide things in the pockets because then I can move it over on my desk and have more space very easily. So now I'm working over on the right-hand side. I have this card that says enjoy completely. And I loved this card, but I didn't want to use an entire 4x6 pocket on it. So I cropped it down and turned it into a 3x4 by just turning it vertically. And this way I have that same title that was on the 4x6 card going up the side, and then I have space to journal. And this is a much more manageable space for me to fill in for this spread. I decided to journal about my new furniture this week. On Thursday, I got a bunch of new furniture delivered. I got a dresser and some bookshelves and a new couch. This has been a long time coming, and I finally kind of pulled the trigger and went shopping to get a bunch of stuff for my house that I have needed. And it all happened to be delivered on the same day, even though they came from a couple different stores. So it was very exciting to have that huge shift and really kind of savor the process and the new arrangement in there, because my living room is not yet done, but it is really, really coming along. So I really liked documenting where it is in this process right now. I also took my old shelf that was previously in my living room and I moved it into my scrapbook room. You can see it in that center photo there. It's that black calyx. It's a very large one. It's great for my craft room because it has so much space in it, but my craft room has currently had white furniture. So now I have this black piece of furniture in there, and my craft room looks a little bit out of design at the moment, but I will work on it at some point. But for now, I'm happy to have that extra space to store things. I'm moving on to the journaling for the other two journaling cards. So this one here on the left-hand page just says remember 5 different times, and it does have them numbered. So this card would work really well if you wanted to pair each of these stories with a photo and put a number on those photos. But for me, I'm using it to tell some of the little stories this week that don't have photos to represent them, or they have photos that are on, this page here that don't go with one of my longer stories. So I told just a few of those little stories, not necessarily related to the theme of Savor, but just things that happened this week. And I'm looking off camera at my Hobonichi cousin because my weekly spread there is where I keep track of what happened. What I decided to document here on this card was my Monday morning routine and with Pilates and baking scones. A lot of cleaning and organizing that I did this week and kind of what I was working on. This snowstorm we got on Tuesday and the fact that I had to shovel the snow, which is something I have actually never done before, even though I live in the Northeast, because I pay a service to do my driveway and I rarely need the front walk shoveled, but because of the furniture delivery, I needed to do it. And then I wrote about how I ran errands on Sunday morning and how Summer started her classes for her second semester of college. I think I've mentioned this in some previous videos, but I don't document a lot about what's going on in my daughter's life, absent what she is doing with me, because this is really my project. But sometimes I like to make note of bigger events in her life, like the fact that she started classes. While that is about her and her life, it does kind of impact my life because that gives me a little bit of context of where she was during this week and why she wasn't at home. Moving forward in 2024, she's actually going to be getting an apartment. So she's going to be permanently moving out at the end of this summer, which is going to be another big transition. And I'm curious how that will be reflected in my project. So you'll have to stay tuned to see how I approach that. I'm sliding everything into the pockets now because I think I have wrapped up the spread. I think I do go back and do a few little things. I just have to trim things down. And I always do a final check of just deciding how I like things and whether or not I wanted to rearrange them. You saw I flipped 2 of those photos there at the last minute. And I did that because of the embellishment clusters, because that one of me shoveling doesn't have any embellishments on it. I pulled over the Savor Story stamp and I stamped yes please on 2 sides of a piece of white cardstock to add a little tab on this insert. I like to add tabs when I have an insert just to give you an extra point to it or draw your attention to the fact that this page flips and it's part of the overall spread. So here's a look at each side of this spread. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.